Hey guys, Christy here with Oak Hill Millworks, here today on behalf of Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. And as you can see, we are surrounded by them. I'm really excited to talk with you more today about a couple of the wood species that come through the mill. Why don't you guys come with me? We're going to talk with Terry Baird in more detail. Hey Terry, good to see you again. Where are we right now?
We're in our trim warehouse. This is where we store all of our finished product that's ready to be sold.
So when we're talking about cherry, what are the main applications that you're seeing customers buy cherry for?
Cherry predominantly is more of a molding, doors product. I mean, some people will use it for flooring, but it's a little bit on the soft side for flooring. For the appearance, the warmth of the grain of cherry, just the color, it's just a really, I feel, a smooth, mellow, like a nice glass of wine, red wine, just ages well.
Cherry is very elegant. I see a lot of woodworkers using it when they're making cutting boards. As far as homeowners go, do you see cherry used with cabinetry a lot as well?
Yes. I always feel that it makes a really nice cabinetry product just because over time it'll darken with age.
Now, do customers tend to order stains with their cherry?
You see more of it where the customer that wants to blend the color, because with the sapwood and the heartwood on cherry, there's a difference in color where the sapwood's a little bit lighter, more white, and the heartwood is your red. So with a light coat of stain, you can blend it all together and still keep your warmth on the grain, but have a more uniform color.
So from my understanding, cherry has a natural patina over time. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, cherry's one of them species to where if it's anywhere near the natural and even not natural light, it'll just start getting deeper red, but then over time it'll all blend back together again and just that nice deep rich cherry look.
If you could use cherry in a custom setting, how would you use it?
If you want that nice kind of quiet space to where you're going to entertain company, you know, winery, cigar room, just that real kind of mellow, what I'll say, richness to the room. It lends itself, I think, very nicely.
So it sounds like cherry is extremely versatile in that Baird Brothers is using it for customers in the form of flooring, doors, casing, moldings. Is there anything you would like to add to that?
It's maybe not the best wood to put on the floor if you want your floor to not show any marks from travel, but it lends itself to a nice rich floor, but it really shines in the doors and the moldings and the cabinetry, I believe.
Well, as you can tell, there are plenty of hardwood species available to you at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods with lots of unique characteristics. If you need help figuring out what to choose for your next project, just visit bairdbrothers.com. So you guys obviously move a lot of product around here, but I want to learn a little bit more about hickory. What can you tell me?
Oh, hickory's one of those wild woods to where if you want to see contrast and different colors and different shapes, we do the select hickory in the flooring, moldings, and the doors, and then we do the character hickory in the same products. And they're similar but completely different in appearance.
Okay, so what can customers expect when they're shopping for hickory versus character hickory?
So the select hickory, you have your sapwood and your heartwood. The sapwood's white, the heartwood is more brown, to where when you go into the rustic hickory, you still have those color variations, but now you're into a lot of streaking, bark pockets, knots. It's just a really busy product compared to the select product.
Do you guys see a lot of customers choosing to stain their hickory products, or do they like to keep it natural?
To me, it's about a 50-50. I mean, you get the person that wants to see different colors, different shapes, and if you stain it, you hide a lot of that. If you leave it go natural, you see a lot of difference, but it just all depends on the person's preference. When somebody wants rustic, hickory's pretty hard to beat. It's a very hard wood, very durable, so it wears well for a flooring application, and which is predominantly where we sell it.
Do you guys also do moldings or trim?
Yeah, we do. It doesn't seem to be as common, but we can do it either way. And touching on the durability of hickory for flooring, it's, like I said, it's very durable, but in that regard too, it is hard to work with. But it's a compromise. You get durability and the toughness of the wood.
So maybe not too many woodworkers might be using hickory, but if customers can get Baird Brothers to do all the hard work for them, that seems like a win-win.
Yeah, and that goes back to how we try to keep our tolerances tight on our flooring so it does fit well.
So we basically learned that hickory is really durable, a great product for flooring specifically. Comes with a lot of character if you want it to. Is there anything else you want to add about hickory?
It's just a really unique product to where the customer that's looking for something a little bit different, it really lends itself well to those applications.
Well, thanks so much for coming out with us today, guys. As you can see, there's no shortage of products available to you here at Baird Brothers, and the folks here are experts. So if you ever need help, you can call into the store, or if you want to learn more, visit bairdbrothers.com. Tell me a little bit about the species poplar.
Right now, poplars are our most popular species we're selling. Predominantly it's going for a paint grade product and a finger jointed product. And then we also do the solid product as well. Just lends itself to being painted real well. It's easy to work with, light, pretty durable for a softer hardwood.
Okay, so for the folks at home, the finger jointed is a result of being able to reuse smaller pieces.
Yeah, we're taking a lower grade product from the sawmills, cutting out the defects, gluing it back together again.
Okay.
Using a lower grade product to make a higher end product.
Tell me a little bit about the workability of poplar. What applications are you seeing this mostly used in?
You know, it's a lot nicer product to work with as far as carpentry side, say compared to MDF. When you're trying to hang trim and that, the MDF's like a wet noodle. It wants to bend and go all over the place, where poplar is more rigid.
Okay, and how about staining poplar? Is that a thing that can happen here?
Oh yeah. Poplar's one of them species. It lends itself to staining pretty nice. You have to watch a lighter stain. The heartwood will show a difference, but the darker stains, you can make it resemble other species that cost more money.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about the grain that you see in poplar.
Poplar can be pretty wild in the grain and the color between the heartwood, which is the green, and the sapwood, which is the white. It's an open, kind of bland grain. It's not like an oak, you know, red or a white or an ash.
It sounds to me like poplar is very versatile in its application. So you do moldings, casings. What other ways specifically do you use poplar?
If you're painting a door, that's typically what you're using. You know, and I guess one of the places you really don't want to use it is on a floor because it's so soft, but people will use it for paneling.
So in my experience, poplar has ranged quite a bit in its coloration. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, the typical scenario is the sapwood on poplar is white, the heartwood's green, but then we get some mineralization of the wood to where it starts going purple, and it can go all the way to black. And typically we try to keep that out of the solid products, but you will get a little here or there, a little streaking, to where in the finger joint is where typically all that real dark stuff ends up at, that you're painting white.
Okay, and so for folks who might want to stain poplar, what advice would you give to them?
If you want it to be uniform in color, go darker.
So we've learned a lot about poplar thanks to you here today, Terry. If you could tell us one more thing about poplar, what would it be?
It comes in a good variety of lengths and widths. It's easy, the availability of it's really good. It's just a really nice species to work with.
Well, as you can tell, there are plenty of hardwood species available to you at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods with lots of unique characteristics. If you need help figuring out what to choose for your next project, just visit bairdbrothers.com. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about red oak. What can you tell me?
Red oak is kind of the old stable in the hardwoods, to where for a lot of years it was our most popular species we sold. But it's still just a very nice hardwood that gives you the grain appearance. It's just personally my favorite species.
So most customers, when they're ordering red oak from you guys, what are they doing with it?
There again, the moldings, flooring makes a very nice floor, doors. It covers the whole gamut, from stairway systems to whatever your imagination can dream up.
So in my experience, when I've worked with red oak, it just takes the stain so easily and so beautifully. Does that have to do with that more open pore that it has?
Yeah. It just, with the harder surface, it seems like it absorbs more uniform. Your open grain will take it a little bit darker than the other will, but it just stains nice.
And from what I gather, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is still fairly economical for a hardwood species as compared to some of your other types like walnut or cherry.
Yes. Yeah. It's really, everybody has this mystique that red oak is really expensive, which it isn't compared to the white oak, which is in current conditions about double the price of red oak, in which by staining the red oak, you can make the red oak look like white oak.
Do you see red oak being used in flooring a lot?
Yes. I think it's common, and the common hurts and helps it, to where everybody had red oak back in the 70s and 80s, and it kind of went away, but now it's kind of coming back. But the red oak makes a really nice floor.
Does that have anything to do with the hardness of the wood and kind of the traffic that it might see?
Yeah, red oak's not the hardest, but it's hard to where it wears well in a flooring application.
The red oak, obviously the red in the name hints that it might have a little bit of a pinkish tone.
Yeah, and that is one of the disadvantages, I guess you could say, compared to white oak. Is more uniform, where red oak can have a wider spectrum of colors to it, from the pink to the red to the mineral. You get some of the darker streaks in it. So there's more of a color variation in red oak compared to white oak.
So Terry, it sounds to me like red oak is a really great resource to utilize. Tell me a little bit more about how Baird can process it in different ways to give folks at home a slightly different look.
Predominantly, the way we sell our, the oak, red oak, is flat sawn with the cathedral grain going like this. Then we do a quarter sawed where we have the vertical grain. So it gives you a kind of totally different appearance in the wood. You're seeing the wood race turns into the flecks that you see on the face. And it gives you a more stable product because you're changing the orientation of the growth rings. So in flat sawn shrinks more with the width of the board. So for a more stable product, the quarter sawn makes a lot nicer, more stable floor.
So when customers order red oak from Baird Brothers, what can they expect?
Red oak has a lot of different characteristics within its species. If you want the natural look in a wood product, and there's a lot of it in the forest, red oak's a nice species.
Well, thanks so much for coming out with us today, guys. As you can see, there's no shortage of products available to you here at Baird Brothers, and the folks here are experts. So if you ever need help, you can call into the store, or if you want to learn more, visit bairdbrothers.com. I'm noticing some white oak on the shelves. How does white oak play into customers' needs?
It has very nice characteristics for the uniform, more uniform than say red oak in color. It's more expensive than red oak, but it's just become more in style.
Are you seeing white oak sold more for flooring, for cabinetry? Where are people using it?
In our business, probably our biggest increase in demand has been in flooring. You're seeing a lot more white oak doors go out. The trim, yes, but not as much. You know, the flooring be number one and the doors coming in behind there.
I don't know about you, but lately I've seen a lot of people with flooring that shows a lot of more natural characteristics to it. Is that something you guys can provide?
White oak really shines if you're wanting a rustic character product, more so than red oak, where white oak has a lot of smaller, tighter defects and more uniform defects, that it really lends itself to that character product.
How does that antique oak fall on the economical gauge?
The antique oak flooring that we sell, and we call it oak because it can be a mixture of red and white. It costs more money to manufacture. We take a lot more time to give it the appearance that we're trying to give it. So it's a more expensive product, but for the person that wants that old, weathered, different colors, it's really a nice product.
White oak is another great wood that can take stains really nicely, correct?
Yes, yeah, it stains very nice. Uniform, you know, and hardness to where it really does a nice job.
So when customers purchase white oak from Baird Brothers, what can they expect?
We try to provide the highest quality white oak that we can. You know, white oak, there again, it's a natural product. Each wood has its own different characteristics. There might be a little bit of something here or there, but for the most part, we try to provide a clear, defect-free product when you're buying that. Or if you want the rustic product, we're trying to give you a very nice, uniform rustic product.
As you can see, there is a wide variety of hardwood species available to you here at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, and if you need help selecting exactly the right wood for your next project, give us a call or visit bairdbrothers.com.